Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast. Football is back, League One returns, and the croaky voice on a Sunday morning returns as well, which means football, well, it must be back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the League One roundup we do every single Sunday, diving deep into 4 games specifically, looking at the tactical setup, the key men, and how the game panned out. Let me know in the comment section down below how your team did on this opening Saturday weekend of League One action. Leave a like, subscribe, all of that good stuff as well. Hit that notification bell, that way you'll be notified when I go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. I'm absolutely buzzing to be back. I can't wait to get into it. Of course, we'll be looking at Derby against Oxford United. There's going to be a specific episode on that, a match day experience and a match reaction. It was a brilliant day out. The throat, I think it really does sum up how much of a day out that was. Disappointing, of course, with the result, but we're delving deep into that in a specific episode of the podcast, so don't worry about that. Right, the 4 games. Let's get straight into it. We're going to start off talking about Plymouth against Barnsley. Here it is. SofaScore returns as well, which is very, very exciting. You can see here, look, I did my research on this game, and it's actually quite a tough one to sort of describe. I'm really, really intrigued if any Plymouth or Barnsley fans that went to the game or watched the game could sort of give me your thoughts in the comments and sort of make it a real discussion in the comment section down below, because I'm intrigued to see how this game really panned out on the eye. Because looking at it from the stats, you watched last season's roundups we did, I spoke a lot about something called the momentum graph. This graph here basically shows visually how the game pans out, looking at the attacking momentum of each team, looking at which side was on top at the different points across the 90 minutes. It's actually a really good way of sort of visualising the game across, the 90 minutes of football, looking at who was on top, looking at the sort of amount of chances, but also how big the chances were within the game. A really good thing that SofaScore sort of implemented, I think it's called a specific algorithm that they've implemented into this sort of website, and you can actually watch it live as well. This isn't an advert, by the way. This isn't something that's sponsored by SofaScore, but SofaScore, get in touch. Basically, I think across the 90 minutes, you can basically watch the bars go up and down and sort of see who's on top as the game is being played live. But when, of course, the game is finished, you get to see a really nice way of who was on top across the match. And as you can see here, Plymouth are in the green, helpful, but that is normally the home side, blue being Barnsley, the away side. You can see here, in the first half, it looked as though Plymouth probably did have a little bit more of the attacking momentum in the game. It looked as though when they did come forward, they were a little bit dangerous. It did look like as though Barnsley, they did have also their moments in the game as well. What I would say is Barnsley, when they came forward, looked a little bit more dangerous. You can see by the length of the graph and the little bars across that, they look taller. They look a little bit more dangerous. Can a bar be dangerous? I don't know. But you can sort of see there, when they did come forward, they were a little bit more aggressive with the way that they attacked. So I think that sort of says a little bit about the way that Barnsley were going to attack Plymouth and how they were going to sort of punish Plymouth across the game. Now, Michael Duff's first game in charge, his first competitive game in charge, should I say, as a Barnsley manager, probably didn't go the way that he would have wanted it to go. He did brilliantly well, of course, with Cheltenham last season, got them, of course, into League One originally, then stayed up with them last year, did a brilliant job, had a really good style of football, such a defensive unit that he created there as well, but also going forward, he has some brilliant attacking talent and really, I think, unleashed the attacking talent that they've got at Cheltenham. Alfie May was absolutely exceptional for them last season. He's going to be hoping that the strikers that they've got now at Barnsley can do exactly what May did and unleash them almost at a side where they can be brilliant on the counter-attack, but they can also be exceptional as a defensive unit. He's gone with a 3 at the back as well. You can see on the screen here, he did that at Cheltenham for the majority of his time there. He's sort of gone with what he knows, which is sort of what I expect when a new manager comes in, especially when he's done a really good job with that 3 at the back at Cheltenham. He knows League One really, really well, so he's gone with a 3 at the back. I do think the players suit that. They've got 3 sort of good centre-backs. They've got Nicky Cadden, of course, a new signing who can really dominate that left-hand side. That makes sense to me, going with that formation. Of course, they've got some other really exciting players in their style as a midfield. He didn't have the brilliant of games yesterday, but we'll have to sort of see how his season develops. I think he will be a really good player who's really, really good points during his Barnsley career. So I do expect him to sort of really kickstart, hopefully next week. That'll be what Barnsley will be hoping for. But as for Plymouth, you look at their sort of individual performers. Finn Azaz made his debut, of course, the loanee. 7.4 average rating on SofaScore. Got a goal as well yesterday, a really important goal, the first goal for Plymouth this year, his first goal of the season, and the only goal in the game to win it. So you could say a really quite significant goal. 2 shots on target during the 90. He did miss one big chance, but he scored the one chance. He scored exactly what he needed to, and the chance that really mattered, he did tuck away. So really, really important for him to get on the score sheet on a personal level, but also, of course, when you look at the importance of that goal, just before half-time as well, a brilliant time to score. You can see it in the second half, a little bit more even. I think Barnsley did come forward a few times in that second half. You can see it there. Plymouth did have quite a large patch. Right at the end of the game, Barnsley did come forward, try and salvage something from the match. They couldn't do so, and it finishes 1-0. When you look at the stats as well, very, very even. And when I say it's quite difficult to sort of analyse this game, if you've got any Plymouth fans, Barnsley Barnsley fans that watch this game, do let me know, because to me, 50-50% possession, more shots to Plymouth, more shots on target, more shots off target, but you'd expect that when you've got 19 shots to 9. 5 block shots to their 2. Interestingly, Barnsley did have more corners, 6 offsides with Plymouth. It does sort of suggest to me that they were going forward quite a lot. But you can see there, the big chances, Barnsley actually edged them on big chances. So it seems as though Plymouth had more of the shots. It was completely even on possession, but the big chances, they came for Barnsley. Unfortunately, they couldn't take them. It does finish 1-0. The bookies got this one right. I got this right, sort of. I think I did 2-1 to Plymouth. So, home advantage, it was massive last year. It looks as though it's going to be massive again this year. But for newly relegated Barnsley, it's a brilliant start to the season for them. And Michael Dove, he'll be hoping for a real response next week. Let's see what happens. But Plymouth beating Barnsley on the opening game of the season by 1-0 is the score at Home Park. So where are we off to next? We're going to go to Accrington Stanley because they hosted Charlton yesterday, which is very, very exciting. And of course, at Charlton, it's a new time, brand new time at Charlton. So Accrington Stanley against Charlton, 2-2 was the final score. I mean, a really, really nice opening day. Goal fest, you'd say, for the neutrals. But it's 2-2, a 4-goal thriller, and some late drama. But we'll come on to the late drama in just a second. Because first and foremost, let's have a look at this graph. You can see straight away, Charlton tried to take the game to Accrington. And one thing I will say that I said in the prediction and preview episode, I did it live. If you want to sort of check those episodes out, that was, of course, to be happening every single week once again. Maybe not live all the time, but we will certainly be sort of previewing the weekend's action in Sky Bet League One every single Thursday. It normally is. But you can see here, you look at the way that Accrington play. They've done it in previous years under Joel Coleman. We're talking about 2 managers on the sort of either end of the spectrum. When you look at Ben Garner, only just been appointed, very, very new, doesn't have a great record in League One with Bristol Rovers, did really well at Swindon, now appointed as Charlton manager. He's looking to rebuild and refresh life at the Valley. You look at John Coleman, he's been here absolutely donkey's years, and he knows League One and Accrington Stanley like the back of his hand. So it's going to be interesting in sort of looking at the way these two sides sort of match up. Ben Garner, very attacking manager, we spoke about when he got appointed. He's somebody that likes to be, I think, a real quite attacking dominated side. He likes to play a high line, likes to press sort of with his forwards, but also all over the pitch really. High wing backs, 4-3-3, very attacking, you'd say. And to be fair, 2 goals in the opening game of the season. It'd be disappointing that, of course, they conceded 2. But they are scoring goals already, which is good. It's always quite a strange one where the manager comes in and says he likes to play attacking football. Most managers do come in and say that these days, and they don't score any goals on the opening game of the season. You look at him and go, not quite sure about that. But they did score 2 goals. Disappointing, though, not to hang on and get the 3 points, which would be a perfect start for Ben Garner as his managerial debut at Charlton. But you can see here, Charlton, they did take the game to Accrington in the early few minutes. Then sort of Accrington got a foothold in the game. Then very even up until half-time. You can see it was very, very tight. Nothing really happened other than the all-important goal. 1-0. Scott Fraser for Charlton makes it 1-0. But then after that, very, very edgy. Not really any going forward, keep it quite tight. Charlton will be hoping that would be the case, to be honest, as much as they want to play attacking football and dominate the match in terms of possession, but also in terms of the way that they play going forward on the offensive, you'd say. It was very, very tight, and I think they're going to take that. When you go 1-0 up, 10 minutes before half-time, can we keep it tight? Let's not risk conceding a goal, but let's not, commit men going forward, on too much of a strange scale that could be really risky to of course, get exposed and concede at what would be a really quite vulnerable time. Going into the second half, Accrington, I think, did come to life a little bit. Charlton did have a moment in between 2 Accrington attacks that did look quite dangerous, and some quite dangerous periods in the game for John Coleman's side. then they did really get what you'd say they deserved at that point. To be fair, Accrington make it 1-1. Of course, it's Sean McConville. Who else would it be? Somebody on that left-hand side for Accrington who's been brilliant for 2, 3, 4 years now. Maybe even more, but specifically since I've been really following this league with a lot of detail, he's been somebody that when you read and you look at individual players, he was exceptional last year. Still at the age he is, I'll have to have a look at how old he is specifically. In fact, we can click on his name and find out. But he's somebody that at the age he is, I think I'd say 32, 33, yeah, he's 33. This is somebody that's still such an important player for John Coleman's side. And, once again, in with the action, in with the goals. And I think he got over 10, 15 goal contributions last season for Accrington. That was a side that finished 12th in the league. That's exactly what that man can do. And we look at the way that they set up. I think first and foremost, can we defend a lead? Can we defend at the difficult moments? Can we hit them on the counter-attack? Can we be a banana skin for some top sides, what they've done for previous years? When coming forward, can we also be a threat? Well, Sean McConville is really, once again, showing that he can do that on the left-hand side. He can play as a left midfielder, a left wing-back. He sort of played on the left of a left midfield in a 4-4-2 today, which I think suited him really, really well. He likes playing on the left-hand side. I'd say he's definitely more effective in the sort of left wing, left midfield area. He can get forward a little bit more. He's got almost that protection of Sangare behind him, playing at left-back yesterday. So he's got that ability, but he's also got, I guess, the personal, I think, security within himself that he can go forward and not feel as though they're going to get exposed on the counter-attack. It worked brilliantly for him yesterday. You look at the players for Charlton, I think they had some really, really good performers in there. Interestingly, I think Jack Payne, was he on the bench yesterday? He did come on in the 87th minute. I was a bit surprised that he didn't start the game. I think that midfield with Albie Morgan, George Dobson and Scott Fraser. Other than Scott Fraser, you've got Albie Morgan and George Dobson there. They're not the most, I mean, they can be creative, but then definitely not the most breaking the line, drive at players, really, really quite dribbling players. You'd like to probably see them in a 4-3-3 in that sort of holding role. You can sort of see them as a bit of a box-to-box. Not really an advanced playmaker, if you like, if we're using Football Manager terms, which, of course, if you play Football Manager, you'll know what I'm talking about there. Jack Payne probably is that type of player. He's somebody that's going to take players on, be a little bit more aggressive with the way that he dribbles with the ball. So interesting to see him not start. I mean, he did come in, of course, in the window fairly late, so maybe his fitness or maybe other reasons. Maybe he wasn't. Of course, they went to Spain, didn't they, for their pre-season? So maybe if he wasn't part of that, Ben Garner decided to go with the players that were on that tour and have played the majority of pre-season friendlies for Charlton. But either way, I think, Albie Morgan did have a good game, to be fair. 7.2 rating. It looks as though, looking at SofaScore ratings, of course, Joseph Woolacott, new goalkeeper starting as well. What does that mean for Craig McGivery? Of course, somebody who's been the number one for Charlton for a few years now. Joseph Woolacott, somebody that looks as though will be that number one. He's got the number one shirt. So what does that mean for Craig's future? I don't know. But I would say that he's a Ben Garner signing. He worked, of course, with him at Swindon. It looks as though he's going to be that number one. He's really good, with his feet. He's very, very good as a distributing goalkeeper. So it looks as though he is going to be that number one. But looking at the late drama, 90+4, Miles Leaburn makes it 2-1 to Charlton. Ben Garner probably thought he'd wrapped up the first 3 points of the season for Charlton on the opening game of the season. But Accrington Stanley and John Coleman side, they had other ideas. They make it 2-2 in 90+6. When you score a 90+4 winner, surely everybody's thinking that's deal done. That's the 3 points wrapped up, but absolutely not. You can't see when Accrington, as I'm going to be saying probably through the out of this season. 90+6 makes it 2-2, and it's disappointing really in the end, considering they were 2-1 up and leading the game with only 2 minutes of injury time and scoring in injury time. Very, very frustrating, I imagine, from a Charlton perspective. But Accrington Stanley 2-2 in the game against Charlton. Let's move on to the next one. So the third game that we're going to be speaking about is Ipswich against Bolton. A massive game. Two heavyweights, of course, in this division. Two sides that have had really, really good transfer windows, in my opinion. And once again, they have the ambition, they have the aim to get out of this league, but it won't be easy. Bolton have been in this league, of course, only really for 1 year, other than, of course, you look at the League 2 season they had in between of it. Of course, last year they did really quite well in their debut campaign back into League One. As for Ipswich, they've now been stuck in this league probably 4 or 5 years now. I think this might be their 4th year. Could be wrong. Could be their 5th year in League One. It's been a while, I know that. So once again, they do have that aim, they do have that ambition to get out of the league. Kieran McKenna's first full season in charge. Of course, this time around a 1-1 opening game of the season. Jacob, I had Jacob Pascal on the episode quite recently. I asked him for his score prediction for the game. He said 1-1. Fair play to him. He got it absolutely spot on. I think I predicted 1-1, or it might have been a draw. Well, we got this one right because it looked as though it was going to be a really, really tight game. Two sides who, like I keep saying, I'm going to repeat myself once more, they do want to go up this year. They do want to be really quite aggressive with the way they attack this division, and playing each other in the first game of the season, they're going to want to get, up on each other, as early as you possibly can and play against each other on the 30th of July season opener. It doesn't get much earlier and more important than this. So let's have a little look at the game. Little bit different looking at the graph, this one. We looked at the previous graphs, Accrington Stanley against Charlton, Plymouth against Barnsley. You saw quite even graph, quite an even distribution between green and blue. This one, well, it's a bit more green. A little bit more green, you'd say. Started off really with Bolton quite attacking, actually. It started off with Bolton's game, then sort of Ipswich got back into it, then a really big spout from Bolton. A penalty was given, and Aaron Morley stepped up and tucked it away to make it 1-0 on the around sort of mid of the first half. 38th minute of that first half. Sorry, 25th minute of the first half. Aaron Morley makes it 1-0. In the 38th minute, it's an equaliser. Lee Evans, of course, somebody who's been in that midfield now for Ipswich for quite a few years. Him and Sam Morsey really building that relationship. They've played together for quite a long time, for the past sort of 2-3 years, pretty consistently. He, of course, was part of the side last season that was a little bit disappointed, you'd say, with their campaign, but he's back in that midfield again this year, and he scored a very, very important goal to make it 1-1. Then really, from then on, it looks as though Ipswich were in control of the game. I think it was a classic away side, Bolton, Portsmouth Road, massive stadium, a brilliant set of supporters, of course, behind their team through thick and thin. You go 1-0 up. Can we just try and hold on until half-time, regroup at half-time, and then try and probably play on the counter-attack really in that second half? We know the threat that Ipswich are going to try and challenge us with. Can we try and play on the break a little bit in that second 45? Can we be a little bit more defensive thinking going into the next 45 minutes? Can we pick them off maybe on the counter-attack to regain the lead? Or if we're 1-0 up, still at half-time, of course they weren't, but if the mindset was that they were able to hold on until half-time, can we hit them on the counter-attack and sort of really, first and foremost, defend for our lives? It looks as though in the end Bolton did do that, but unfortunately not for a win. It was for a draw, because in the 38th minute, like I said, Lee Evans equalises. And really, nothing really happened until half-time after the 38th minute. Second half, though, Kieran McKenna, he really rallied the players, I imagine, at half-time. Go out there in the second half, make sure we come away with the 3 points on the opening game of the season. They certainly dominated. They certainly knocked on that door. But Bolton, and we spoke about someone else in that episode I did with Jacob, at the back, Captain Ricardo Santos, him and George Johnson, of course, Geethan Jones on that right-hand side. Interestingly, not with a three at the back. We spoke about how they can usually play with a three sort of 4-1-2, really. Dapo maybe behind the two up front of Dion Charles, and really any other striker that they've got at the football club. They can really play anyone with Dion Charles, to be honest. And then sort of use the wing backs, if you like, and sort of play with the straight four you can do in the midfield, or you can go with a three and really change that forward line. They went with a 4-3-3, which is interesting, actually, because as we imagine, Ipswich would go with the 3-4-2-1. They did do that. So maybe it was a tactical decision. Let's not match up with formation. Let's try and expose them and try and have an overload in different areas. Maybe that was the tactical mindset of Ian Evatt. Or maybe 4-3-3 is the way to go this season. That's maybe the direction that he wants to take his side. I was surprised, though. I thought they would go with that three at the back and sort of play with the two up front. Maybe have Conor Bradley, of course, the loanee from Liverpool, as that right wing back. Looks as though he played as a right winger today. So let's see what happens. I mean, it looks as though they did something a little bit different. Did it work? You probably have to say it did, to be honest. I mean, they got a draw away from home against Pompey. They had to hold on at key moments. That second half looked as though it was all Ipswich. A lot of Ipswich fans, I imagine, are probably quite unhappy. They couldn't have come away with 3 points, but to be fair, they defended really, really well in that second half, Bolton. And we spoke about Ricardo Santos as an absolute unit at the back. Well, he was again yesterday, and very frustrating, I imagine, from a Town perspective. Looking at that possession stat, 57% possession. I want to see their second half possession. It's fairly big. 59% possession to 41, 13 shots to 1. I mean, in terms of the ball, 59, it's a fairly high position stat when you look at two sides that do like having the ball. So yeah, I mean, 59 for a side, for two sides that are quite possession based, is quite a significant difference. You look at the attacking ones though, 13 shots, 4 shots on target, 5 shots to 1. That's 1 shot in the second half of Bolton. No shots on target, big chances, none to Ipswich's 1. First half, a big chance for Bolton, slightly more even with the attacking stats. But the second half, it was all Ipswich. I think they'd be feel a little bit hard done by. Really, they couldn't go on and win the game in the end, but they couldn't do so. And Bolton, they defended really, really well. It must be said. So, positives to take from that game, you'd say, from both sides. Like I said, these are two massive sides with ambitions to be in the top six minimum. So playing against each other at the first game of the season, draw 1-1, they'll probably just shake their hands and sort of get on with it. But yeah, interesting this one. A massive game, of course, for the opening game of the season. And it didn't really disappoint, to be fair. 1-1 between Ipswich Town and Bolton Wanderers. Right, then let's move on to the final game, the fourth and final game we're going to be chatting about today. And where else should we go than Hillsborough? This match had absolutely everything. This is like a run into the season sort of fixture, not opening game of the season. 3-3, 6-goal thriller. What did I say in the prediction and preview episode? Keep it quite tight. Don't want to make too many errors. No real risks involved for the opening game. 3-3, 6-goal thriller. Welcome to Sky Bet League One. We spoke about last year. Unpredictable, amazing season. Goals, goals, goals. Every single weekend, every single Sunday, we come on here, we do a roundup and we go, what have we just witnessed? It's only taken one episode and one weekend to feel just like that. You can see on the screen, again, a little bit of a different graph as well. Certainly one. I've spoken to Tom since the game. Tom from 4-0 written all over it. You'll know exactly who he is. He's just put his vlog out, I think, as well, Sunday morning, when he, of course, went to that game. Amazing YouTube channel. Follows Pompey up and down the country. He's going to do that again, of course, this year. He went to Hillsborough yesterday. The vlog is absolutely amazing. I've already watched it. But also, I spoke to him about it. He can't even describe the game, and he was there. So this is going to be even better to try and describe this game, looking at the different aspects of it, stats, looking at who players really just do shine. I did watch, actually, the goals back, and some of the goals, I mean, they're bangers. One of the goals from Sheffield Wednesday, he ran pretty much the entirety of his own half and absolutely banged it into the top bins. We'll come on to that in just a second. Basher is the man that did just that. But what a game of football. Opening campaign of the season. Certainly not a tight, edgy game. This was a game of two sides who had one aim in mind. Attack. Let's absolutely attack and take the game to the opposition. In that first half, it was Sheffield Wednesday's game, to be fair. It looks as though Pompey couldn't really get any rhythm in the game. The keepers couldn't really get hold of it. I think Sheffield Wednesday are going to be doing quite a lot of that this season. They're going to try and attack the flanks. It's what they did. Tried to do quite a lot last year. It did work for them. You look at Marvin Johnson, a really, really good player on that left-hand side. On the right-hand side, they've got Hunt. These are players that, in a back three, are very, very attacking as their wing-backs, and they also have that. They have the ability, but they also have the insurance, like I spoke about in another game, where they know that they can come forward with a lot of ease because they've got players now this season with a real reinforced back three. They got a Hickway on that left-hand side, Iorfa, Ben Hennigan, of course, they got from AFC Wimbledon after he was released there. I think they've got a really quite reinforced back three. So I think more than ever this year, they're going to have those wing-backs trying to attack the flanks. And that can cause a lot of problems for oppositions, not just because they've got that ability to cause a real threat, but it also squeezes the opposition into areas they don't want to be into. I think the wide players for the opposition can be nullified because you've got two players that can just go and attack down that left and right hand side. They've got, of course, the wing backs. They've got Barry Bannon who can sort of drift out, but also is more effective, I'd say, number 10 role. You've got players like George Byers, of course, Denny Basher, who we spoke about, who's had a brilliant game yesterday. We'll come on to his individual performance in just a second. And the two up front. So overload is massive, so it can be so difficult for a side to sort of not feel suffocated, if you like, with those wing backs. I think in the first half they had a lot of joy. Marvin Johnson made it 1-0 very early on in the game, and Pompey, like I said, couldn't really get any rhythm. In that second half, I don't know what Danny Cowley said to Pompey's boys in that half-time team talk, but it was something quite special, because in the second half, they came out, they were rallied like no other side. You can see in that second half, I mean, the opening 20 minutes of the second half, Goals. Absolutely incredible stuff. 1-1 just after half-time. You say 50th minute, Conor Ogilvie makes it 1-1. Then literally 2 minutes later, Deli Bashrois makes it 2-1 in the 52nd minute. And I saw the vlog, obviously, but I did speak to Tom about it. He said that, you work so hard to equalise. We've all been there as a football fan. You work so hard to equalise. You put everything into trying to get this game back to 1-1. 2 minutes later, it's gone straight to 1. You always do feel as though that hard work has been sort of taken away from you straight away. And it's a little bit frustrating. We've all been there. But in the 57th minute, 5 minutes later, they didn't have to wait long to make it 2-2 once again. Michael Jacobs makes it 2-2 and equalises for the second time in the game. And then literally 7 minutes later, new man, new striker from Accrington Stanley, Colby Bishop. They spoke about how they got to replace George Hurst, how they're going to get the goals, where they're going to get the goals from. Of course, Dane Scarlett's just come on loan from Tottenham. Brilliant young signing. He makes it 3-2, Colby Bishop. A brilliant way to announce yourself as your new number 9. And 3-2 makes it in the 64th minute. Assisted by Joe Pigott, somebody, of course, they got on loan from Ipswich. Got a lot of stick last year at Ipswich. Somebody who couldn't score for his life, to be fair. But it looks as though in a 2 with Colby Bishop, 2 very different strikers, it could work really well. It looks as though for that goal, the third goal for Pompey, they did connect really well. Already building a little bit of a partnership. Let's wait and see what happens there. But disappointing. Pompey couldn't hold on, and Sheffield Wednesday come forward once again. Of course, it's that man, Danny Basher. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I could be getting it wrong every single time. I apologise. He makes it 3-3 in the 81st minute. And from then on, a red card as well. Lee Gregory, the striker, for a foul, for a second yellow. He's off. He won't be playing in the next one. And at Pompey try and make it 4-3 in the final few moments of the game. They couldn't do so, and it finishes 3-3. But absolutely incredible stuff. And Tom said it in his vlog. He said it to me personally. How do I describe that game? How do I describe that match? Because that had simply everything. Red card, 6 goals, a draw, away from home, opening game of the season. What do you do? What do you do? Welcome. I say it again, welcome to Sky Bet League One. Last season was unpredictable. Last season was special. This season already proving to be just that. Looking at the individual performers, we've got to speak about Denny Bashery, the number 17, sort of playing behind. You can see his heat map there. He's sort of drifting on that left-hand side, but you say central is where he wants to be, but he can drift over to that left-hand side, helping the likes of Marvin Johnson as he bombs forward. But he was amazing yesterday. Amazing game for him. 2 goals, 42 touches in the game, 89% pass accuracy, 1 key pass as well. So looks as though he's going to be quite creative. But yesterday, it was all about goal scoring. It was all about finishing his dinner, and he did that in serious style. Looking at Pompey, of course, 3 goal scorers. Colby Bishop announced himself as a new Pompey number 9. Not a bad way to announce yourself. 75 minutes he played, 1 goal, 7.4 average rating on SofaScore. But a brilliant debut for him, and a brilliant game of football in League One. 3-3 it finishes between Sheffield Wednesday and Pompey. And that wraps up the 4 games we're going to be delving deep into today. But of course, we'll be back next week for some more amazing games, because once again, there's some corkers. Some absolute corkers. Just running through another one there. Wycombe Wanderers make it 3-0 against Burton Albion. It looks like they were fairly dominant throughout the game. Burton, they had their moments, but 3-0. They picked Burton off when they needed to. Wycombe Wanderers deserved the win at 3-0 there. Bit of a surprise, actually. Cambridge beating MK Dons, a side who were very good last season. MK Dons exception, I'd say, at points. Surprised a lot of people last season. Finished 3rd, missed out, of course, couldn't get past Wycombe in the semi-final, but couldn't get past Cambridge yesterday. It looks as though 1-0 away from home for them. Not a brilliant start to the season. Of course, a dedicated match reaction and match day experience will be coming out as I travel to Derby County with my beloved Oxford United. That'll be coming out hopefully today as you're watching this, a double Sunday upload, which will be exciting. So that's going to be one we delve into in a little bit more detail. But 1-0 to Derby in that one. Very new Derby side. Again, we had our moments in the game, but Derby, they look very good. They look well organised. Anybody says, will Derby gel? They've gelled. They've gelled, and it's annoying. For Bristol Rovers, not a brilliant start back into Sky Bet League One, losing at home to Forest Green Rovers, another side who I predicted to get relegated. Well, a good start for them. 2-1 away from home for them. Looking at the other ones, Lincoln draw with Exeter at 1-1. We've spoken about all of those games. Let's quickly go back here. Morecambe drawing 0-0 with Shrewsbury. Not one to write home about here, but Morecambe against Shrewsbury. A 0-0 draw there. Looks as though Leahy had a really good game. He was brilliant last year. He's been brilliant in League One for quite a few years now. Really good performance from him. 2-1 to Port Vale against Fleetwood. Not a great one for Cod's Vlogs, you'd say. 2-1 away from home for them. Newly promoted Port Vale starting things with a win. And a 3-2 thriller for Peterborough as they beat Cheltenham. They were 2-0 down, Peterborough, in that game, and come away beating Cheltenham by 3-2. A brilliant start to life back into League One for them. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been Jack. This has been the Young Fan Podcast, and I'll see you all very soon. The camera's died, so I think that's quite a nice way to end it. I'll see you in a bit.